Want a free PlayStation? Yes, free. Who would have thought in November 2020, when Sony released that PlayStation 5, that we'd be sitting here almost 20 months later with no consoles on shelves and very few available with online retailers? Well, we got our hands on a disc console, but instead of teaching President Teddy how to play NBA 2K, we'd like to send it to a loyal WagerTalk supporter. You can start earning entries now and repeat daily just by going to wt.buzz/PS5 and perform the social media task below to earn entries into our raffle. The contest will end at midnight on July 3rd, and a random winner will be announced on July 4th. Help us reach 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and grow our social media footprint, and you could be the new owner of a PS5.
Welcome into First Pitch for Monday, June 13th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Brian Leonard and Matt Josephs of WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. We're breaking down 3 games on the slate. We got best bets at the end. Feel free to join us in the chat box on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. If you're watching on replay, feel free to drop us a reply below. Going around the horn here. Brian Leonard, last 4 of 5 MLB seasons, profitable. He's up, over 110 units of profit on 4 and 5% plays. He's got a 3-play package up and available for $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. Brian, happy Monday morning to you. Welcome into the show, buddy.
Happy Monday morning to everybody. And a lesser slate today, and we've got some weather concerns. But hey, let's see if we can get you some money.
Absolutely. That's the name of the game, guys. And we got Matt Josephs. He's been making some money at sportsmemo.com. He knows his K-props. He's having a profitable season, I'm seeing here, Matt, in 2022. 171 and 136. Of course, got to factor in the VIG, but it looks like you're having a pretty good 22 season. Welcome in. Happy Monday morning to you, Matt.
I'll be more blunt than Brian. This card kind of sucks, and we're going to try and find some winners for you, or at least some value. Already one of my best bets is too juiced, and the other one I kind of liked, as Brian said, could be a weather issue. So we'll see what we can do for you guys.
I like it. Blunt is more than welcome here, as you know, Matt. Guys, let's get into the game. Hey, a game that doesn't really suck. I think a very good handicap here, Brian. NL East battle between the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies. You know what else that doesn't suck is the starting pitching matchup. We get Alcantara going for the Marlins, Aaron Nola going for the Phillies. We saw the Phillies open up about minus 150 is high in the overnights. They've been bought down a bunch. There's been some Marlins money coming in, Brian. Hey, are you agreeing with that? Alcantara's had a heck of a season. Nola had a good start last year. What do you think between the Fish and the Phillies?
Yeah, first off, I want to congratulate Dave Koken. Once Phillies fired their manager, he said he was going to ride them until they lost 2 straight. Well, they lost once, 7 or 8. So congrats to Dave and all his followers for doing that. And I probably should do a little bit more of that. I don't. I take every game into account, but if a team is running good, yeah, it's tough to bet against them. But that's the way the Phillies have been. But in this game, I kind of think the line is a little bit fair here. It was better overnight, and unfortunately, more people have bet the Marlins than what I would like. But still, I think the Marlins is the way to go in this one. Both pitchers have been tremendous, as you pointed out. Alcantara just been tremendous across the board all season long. Aaron Nola has been much of the same, although he's been more up and down, although he has been pitching pretty well as of late. Like both pitchers, and they both throw 4 or 5 different pitches. And, you know, I'm not a guy who likes guys who throw just forcing fastballs overall. And neither of these guys do. They do like 30%, 27%. So they use other pitches as well. And they're very good, especially Alcantara. 4 pitches, all going at least 22%. So he's a guy that'll give you some really good pitches. And Aaron Nola's now. He throws in a cutter once in a while, 5% of those. But both guys have been pretty good from a barrel percentage. Alcantara, 4.2. Aaron Nola, 7.4. But I prefer Miami here. I like the situation. And I think because the Phillies have been hot lately, we're getting a nice price here. But you still got the Philly bullpen, and you've got the Philly defense, which is still horrendous. So give me the Marlins in this price. I think it's some value here.
Okay, Matt, coming to you next. These are 2 teams I know you follow closely. What are you liking in Philadelphia tonight?
Well, it's funny because when you read the blogs and when you read and people in sports radio talk about the Marlins, it's like they're talking about the 27 Yankees because the Phillies have just been terrible against the Marlins the past couple of years. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I feel like they've lost the season series the last couple of years to Marlins teams that they're clearly for the most part better than, but there's this mental block. So it'll be interesting to see how A, they handle a team that they've struggled with coming in, and B, coming off a loss. I mean, this is a team that had everything going well for them, win all those games in a row. It kind of snowballed in the first inning yesterday with the error by Real Muto that they should have gotten out of that inning, and Suarez could have potentially gone a little bit deeper. I do like Alcantara against the Phillies lineup. He's got good numbers against a lot of guys except for Harper, but a lot of pitchers have had poor numbers against Harper. And then you look at Nola, and Nola's a guy I like to back at home. Nola's a guy I like to back earlier in the season. He seems to struggle more as the season gets more tighter and the games mean a little bit more. The Phillies bullpen, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of get around. Corey Knebel's not available tonight. So Sir Anthony Dominguez, who probably should be the team's closer, would probably close tonight. So that kind of opens up the eighth inning. Does Jeurys Familia come in the eighth inning? How many innings can Nola give him? So there's a bunch of question marks here. As a scared Phillies fan, I would lean to the Marlins here, but this is also potentially a live betting situation to see how both these pitchers look early on.
Like it, Matt. Good stuff, guys. To start, we got 2 games left. We might actually get 3 before best bets. San Diego Padres, Chicago Cubs. Next game up, guys, as we head to Wrigleyville. Yu Darvish versus Steele, the lefty, going for the Cubs here. Matt, starting off with you in Wrigley Field, looks like minus 125, minus 130, anywhere in between there. That's the Padres as the road favorite. Total of 9. What are you liking in Chicago tonight?
I mean, look, the wind's blowing out left to right, so that's something that's always got to be considered here. Look, it's a matchup I didn't necessarily love, but I'll point out one thing. I know a lot of people love the K-prop overs for Yu Darvish. It's 5.5. But if you look at Yu Darvish on the road this year, he had 4 in St. Louis, he had 5 in Philadelphia, 4 in Atlanta, 5 in Pittsburgh, and then 2 in San Francisco. Some of those were plus matchups here, so it's not a guarantee that Darvish is just going to succeed against a team that strikes out a lot because he's on the road. I mean, the Braves strike out a ton, and he only had 4 in that game. So that's the one thing I kind of see here. Steele's a guy who's all over the place. I wish he was more consistent because I would have considered back in the Cubs here after that disastrous series they had in the Yankees. He's not consistent enough for me, so this was an easy pass.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, to Matt's point, Steele, he's shown flashes of being really good. I think he was just a 5th-round pick, but already in the MLB. But to Matt's point as well, I mean, he's up and down, man. He's been blown up a couple times. I like Darvish here. I think this is actually your best bet. If not, man, feel free to dig in deep.
Yeah, it is my best bet, and I'll touch more on it later. But yeah, you're right about Steele. When he's looked good, he's looked very good. But unfortunately, a lot of young pitchers run into that. A lot of inconsistency. In fact, just about everybody is inconsistent from a hitting and pitching standpoint. But there's some key elements of this game I'll talk about once we get to our best bets.
And guys, we were going to talk about the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers. Lance Lynn versus Garcia, 8.5 the total, minus 130. Brian, did you do any work on this one? I only bring it up, guys, because Lance Lynn is making his first start of 2022, and it's always an interesting handicap when that happens. Do you look to back him? Do you look to kind of fade him? Brian, any quick thoughts here? As long as the game's still on the board.
Yeah, that's the thing is here we're looking at some weather concerns. I like Lance Lynn. He's been pretty consistent over his career, but it's his first game back, and with the weather concerns, you don't really know if it'll be a late-minute change where they don't pitch him because the weather, we saw one of those happen the other day. It was the rain coming in, so they switched the pitchers going into that. So that's a concern, but he really didn't pitch that well in his games down to the minors. In fact, the last time out, I believe he gave up 7 runs, which I don't really care about that much, the run totals or anything like that, but he hasn't been pitching well, let's just say, coming into this. But he's a veteran. He's been there before. He's been injured before. He knows how to treat his body. So we'll see how it goes. But with all there's just too many concerns in this game with the weather coming up to really make definitive selections.
And Matt, any quick thoughts here in the Motor City?
Well, I mean, it's part two kind of my best bet, but like
Okay.
I love the Tigers today. I can get into it more when we talk about best bets because the best bet I'm giving out is juiced a little bit, so I can tie it in. But I kind of do like the Tigers. I can give a couple more reasons why. When we do get the best bets, it would have been my best bet, but as I said, the weather, it doesn't look like this game. Was it Derecho coming or a Derecho, whatever it is. So they could have some serious thunderstorms in Detroit tonight.
Okay. And guys, feel free to drop any questions in the reply section. Huge shout out to the chat box, everybody joining us live. Brian, what about scheduling, man? I think you brought something up in terms of the Orioles scheduling. How important is that in your handicap, and what do you want to throw out there to the watchers?
Yeah, a lot of people, the general public will look at this and novice bettors, and they'll handicap by what the records are on the teams. And records mean even less in baseball because you've got most teams use 10 different starting pitchers as the year goes on. So you got to take a look at more than the records. But I did want to point out the differential right now. Baltimore's played 40 games against teams with a winning record. Seattle has played 39 games against teams with a winning record. The Houston Astros, 15. Houston's in the same division as Seattle is, and there's 24 game differential in games against teams with 500 better record. Right now, Seattle sits 10 games behind from a from a run differential standpoint. We're looking at 56. But as I said, when you play 24 more games against winning teams, these two teams are a lot closer than what we've seen so far. So keep that in mind when you are handicapping these games. Baltimore's in a similar situation.
Absolutely, Brian. I mean, it's a great point. It's almost, especially because Seattle and Houston are in the same division. It's crazy that they would have that big of a discrepancy between playing winning teams. Good stuff. Love hearing about that. And of course, circling both of these two teams, maybe look to fade the Astros, bet on the Mariners there. We'll see what happens going forward, guys.
Let me add something, Drew.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Along the same lines, the Phillies have played the Mets 12 of their 18 times already. They have not played the Nats yet this year. And I believe they've only played the Marlins 3 times this year. And you play everybody in your division 18 times. And so the Phillies are about to embark on this stretch. I think it's like 57 of the next 91 against teams with losing records. So that's another team along the same lines as the Orioles. And I think the Orioles are definitely live in the future too, because even though Adley Rutschman came up and hasn't been good, he's giving them an energy and an excitement. And I think their lineup is going to be very viable going forward, especially they just called another kid up. I think Stowers, another one of their heralded prospects. We may see Grayson Rodriguez in September. DL Hall's kind of lurking there. So, yeah, I like that look about the Orioles, that they may be somebody you want to bet on in the future because the young guns are coming up and giving them some energy.
Well, Matt, let me follow up on that in terms of, do you have any bold predictions here? I mean, the Orioles 26-35, a lot better than most people would have thought. They're 18 and a half games back behind the Yankees, obviously the best team in baseball, or not obviously. They have 44 wins on the season. But here's the thing. They're only 6 games back from the wild card. And remember, guys, it's an expanded postseason, excuse me. I mean, 6 games back of the wild card. The Orioles, when was the last time they were in the postseason? I don't even know. Any bold predictions here, Matt? Do they got a shot?
I mean, they have a shot. Their starting pitching's not good enough. Their bullpen is surprisingly good. And as I said, there's some arms potentially in AAA. It's a shame that Rodriguez got hurt because he might have been up earlier if not for the injury. But I do like their lineup. I think you're going to see some overs once it gets hot consistently once again in Camden Yards. I think they're going to be a very live team against some big as a big underdog. They'll finish ahead of the White Sox as long as La Russa's there. And I'm looking at our standings here. They're a little bit behind. But until Chicago fires Tony La Russa, I think the Orioles may finish ahead of the White Sox.
All right. Then we can take that as a slightly bold take here. Orioles ahead of the White Sox. Guys, we got 1 game left. It is the nightcap for the show. Best bets at the end. Minnesota Twins, Seattle Mariners, Archer versus Flexen. Pick 'em price here, Brian. Minus 108 seems to be the consensus number with the Mariners as the slightest of home favorites. 8 in the hook, the total. Brian, I'm not sure if you had any closing thoughts on the last subject, but if not, what are your thoughts here in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, before we get to the Minnesota game, I do want a couple points. Great job by Matt talking about the White Sox in Baltimore. If you look at run differential on the season, um, even though Baltimore's played 40 games against over 500 teams and the White Sox have only played 33, Baltimore actually has an 18-run differential positive against the White Sox this year. White Sox have been the worst managed team I've seen in a long time. Now, I do want to point out the best managed team I've seen in a long time, I think, is the New York Mets right now. They're sitting with a 645 win percentage, and yet they played 37 games against 500, better than 500 teams. They're 23-14. And keep in mind, they're missing Scherzer and they're missing DeGrom, two of probably the top 6 pitchers in Major League Baseball. So great job by the Mets this season. And this is a team right now that's putting it all together, despite having the worst injury luck I've seen from a team in years. If anybody can get hurt, they will get hurt. They'll get hurt in weird ways. But getting back to this Minnesota-Seattle game, I like the Minnesota side here. I trust their offense so much more than I do this Seattle team. Seattle overall, Ty France and Julio Rodriguez are doing well. Winkler's still not where he wants to be, and the Adam Frazier trade has done nothing for him in that regard. J.P. Crawford's starting to get back to where he normally is. But when you take a look at the Minnesota Twins, this is a team right now that I'm looking to back. And when you take a look at the two pitchers, Chris Archer and Chris Flexen in this game, neither one are guys that I'm looking to trust. But Chris Archer, at least compared to his stats from last year, he's about a mile and a half better on his fastball. In fact, all of his pitches are about a mile and a half faster than they were last year. Chris Flexen, who was never going to blind anybody by his speed, is 2 miles per hour down on his fastball, as well as his other pitches. So Flexen was a questionable guy anyway coming into the season. And if you take a look at his numbers, I could see why. He's just not throwing the ball as fast as he should. And granted, he's got 4 pitches he uses a little bit, but he's still throwing 42% fastballs. And when you can't hit 94 miles an hour on a fastball, you're really in trouble. And he's lucky to hit 90 at this point. So I like Minnesota here. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and we'll see a lot of runs on the board. But I'm looking to fade Seattle in this one.
Good stuff, Brian. And Matt, coming to you for the nightcap. What are you liking in Seattle, man?
Yeah, Chris Flexen is a definite fade, especially when he's going against teams that are not the Astros, because he's got like an over 5 ERA in those games. Looking at the kind of props in this game, Flexen to allow 5.5 hits or more is plus 120 on DraftKings. And you look at what some of his numbers are, they're very bad. And he's given up a bunch of hits. Like he gave up 5 to the Astros, but he gave up 6 to the Orioles. He gave up 7 to the Astros at home, 8 to the Red Sox, 6 against the Blue Jays, 9 against the Phillies. Now, the Twins aren't up there in terms of their lineup, but in 6 of their last 8 games, they've had double-digit hits, and they're in good form. And I feel like hits, much like strikeouts, are kind of contagious. And so, look, it's not a huge bet, but at a plus 120 price, I'd take a shot at over 5.5 hits allowed by Chris Flexen. The one worry with a situation like this is if a guy gets tattooed too much, he may not be in around to give up all of those hits. You almost wish they'd kind of spread them out, have 2 hits here, 1 hit here, 2 hits here. But at a plus 120 price on a card that's kind of thin with opportunities here, I think over 5.5 hits allowed by Chris Flexen is not a bad place to go.
All right, a little prop market action there for mid-major Matt. Check them out, sportsmemo.com. It's $9 Monday there. $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. They got the 5% discounted to just $9. We got Brian in. 3-play package discounted to just $9. So huge savings. Great day to check out both websites. We got Joey in the chat box saying Flexen and Archer have okay ERAs, but have awful hard hit barrel and FIPS. Paco saying, do we trust Darvish on the road? He's looked great at Petco. Japanese-born pitcher Yu Darvish has looked good recently here, Brian. Throw it over to you, man. What do you like for best bets, and any final thoughts for the show?
Yeah, I liked the Flexen hits over. I can't play that because I live in Las Vegas, and we're still behind on the times on the props, but congratulations on that. I think you got a nice winner. Between the Padres and the Cubs, there's a 90-run differential on the season, 90-run differential for San Diego. We're about 60 games through the season. So basically, on a neutral, all season long, regardless of the pitcher, your number 3 starters, basically, the Padres are 1.5 runs better than the Cubs. That's a reason to play the Padres here. Also, the Padres on the road are 20-11. The Cubs at home 11-20. Yes, there has been some problems on the road for Hugh Darvish, but he still is in a different level than Justin Steele here. Justin Steele has been very inconsistent. I've seen a couple games where he's been terrific. In other games, he gets bombed. He tends to lose it once the opposition gives a couple of hits, and he starts to lose it, which a lot of younger guys do. That is a concern here. And what is amazing, take a look at the barrel rate for Justin Steele on the season, 1.4%. That is amazing. So even with the 1.4%, he hasn't been a world beater at all for the Chicago Cubs. And the Cubs just played the Yankees, and the Yankees just beat the hell out of the Cubs, beat up on the Chicago Cubs bullpen, which isn't that great anyway. And we've got Yu Darvish out there who's got 6 pitches he throws. I think he'll have a lot of success against a lot of these young batters for the Cubs who don't see that many pitches. Justice Steele still throws 57% fastballs. Anybody can hit a fastball in Major League Baseball. That is a major concern when you don't have a lot of pitches. Other than slider, 27%. He's basically a 1-2 pitch guy. That's not good against a Padres team who's starting to find themselves a little bit. A lot of these guys who started the season slow, your Luke Voits, your Trent Grishams are starting to come around now. I like the Padres here. I think the line's a little cheap. Money has come in on the Cubs here, but I don't agree with it.
I like lining up with Brian Leonard. That's what I'm doing here on the San Diego Padres tonight. I like this point in terms of the Yankees beating up on the Cubs bullpen. Late innings, guys. Huge advantage here towards the Padres. And then Brian also touched on it. Yu Darvish, his last time out, he went 7 strong innings against the number 1 hitting lineup in the league in terms of the Mets. That's by weighted runs created plus number. So him against the Cubs lineup here tonight, talking about Darvish, I like a lot. And then Steele on the other side of things, he's just so volatile, guys. I don't know if we really know what we're going to get here. And now he's going up against the top 10 lineup against lefties and the Padres. I don't think that projects well. And Darvish also here, guys, in past performance against the Cubs lineup, short sample size, but under a 500 team OPS against. So he's kind of dominated this Cubs lineup. I wrote it up on my page at WagerTalk.com if you want the detailed written analysis. But for my best bet here on the show, I am on the San Diego Padres. Minus 126 is what you can get them at. Minus 124 to minus 127 available out there in the marketplace. We got Matt Josephs. Follow him on Twitter at MidMajorMatt. Check him out, sportsmemo.com. Matt, what do you got for final thoughts and best bet for the show?
All right, so let me line this up real quick. My original best bet was going to be the Tigers run line tonight. Tigers plus 1.5 against the White Sox. The reason why I liked it is I like to fade guys coming off their first start. Lance Lynn wasn't great in his rehabs, and yeah, Brian mentioned it that he's a veteran type and he's just working things out. But this is a White Sox team that every person in their bullpen outside of 2, Liam Hendricks and I forget who the other guy is right now, but there's only 2 guys in their bullpen who did not appear in 2 games in the last series. They had all those extra inning games. They had the injury to Kopech and had to cover more innings. So the White Sox need length from Lynn, but it's not exactly like he's given them length during these rehab starts. And the Tigers bullpen is better than the White Sox bullpen. Rony Garcia has not been terrible so far this season. So I like the Tigers run line. That was going to be my best bet. But now, look, it doesn't look like the game's going to happen tonight. I don't know if it's going to get postponed. If it doesn't get postponed, go for it. I think the Tigers can win this game outright. I'll take the comfort of the run line. So then I had to pivot things. And as I left today to drive in, I liked Zach Thompson's K-prop over 3.5 here for the St. Louis Cardinals. Problem is, it was minus 130 when I got here before I left. It's now minus 170, so I can't give that out because it's a rookie pitcher making his first ever start, and minus 170 is ridiculous. So if the weather's okay, take the Tigers plus the run line tonight. If the weather is not okay, maybe do the flex and hits over, and also maybe pair it off with the Thompson K-prop over, and that way you can have a profitable night tonight.
Matt Josephs, ladies and gentlemen. In recap, we got the Padres minus 27 for Brian and myself. Matt going on record here with the Tigers plus the 1.5. So, guys, that does it for the show. Please smash that like button if you're liking the content. And huge shout out to the chat box. Everybody joining us live, feel free to reply below what you're looking to bet tonight. Any questions, we'll answer them on the show this week. Same time, same place tomorrow. Come back and join us, guys. Best of luck with your bets until then. Thanks for tuning in.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.